Hey, let's chat with those of us that don't have a lot of money. As a collapse is coming, it can be fairly daunting, and we hear all these people talking about buying gold and silver and Bitcoin. And what do you do when you don't have the money to do any of that? We're staring down the barrel of a societal meltdown financially, and what do you do? And I think everybody, well, a lot of the messages I get, not everybody, but a lot of the messages I get are people saying, "What do I do? How do I invest?" Others are saying, "I don't have anything. What do I do?" And there's always something you can do. And so I don't want to be because I'm not a financial advisor, so I don't want to be the guy that just gives this, "Oh, do this, do that" type thing. I mean, I can make suggestions, but that's something else. But I wanted to point out a couple of things that may help bring a little bit of peace. One of them, firstly, is if you don't have a lot, you don't lose a lot. And a lot of these people that are really going to feel it are the ones that have a lot. And if they're going to sell their soul, because it's not necessarily, I mean, nobody's lived this, bear in mind, all right? So anybody's opinion on it, nobody can say they're an expert in this. No economist can tell you what to invest in and what to do, because we've never been here before. The World Economic Forum that's doing this, they think on paper this all looks good. But when it's out in the world, when it's out being lived practically, there's a lot of unforeseens that are going to come around. And I think we're going to see a period of about 3 years where even the globalists are going to have chaos in their ranks, and that's really where God's going to move in that. But one of the things is if you have nothing, you can't lose anything. They are going to ultimately coerce people like they did with the vaccine. It's a dry run. And I think there's a good, probably, test for your character right there. Did you jump in and take the vaccine, or did you resist the vaccine and not take that? Now, I know we've all heard the people going, "Oh, gee, I had to. I've got all these. I had to. If I wanted to see my family, I had to. If I had to keep my job, I had to do it." That's your decision. But you are going to have the same sort of pressure and worse. How would you like it if you can't go into a supermarket and buy your groceries? Not the fact that you just don't have the money, but the fact that you don't have a digital ID, you've decided that you don't want to take their mark, and that may mean that you're not able to actually just walk into a supermarket and buy something. Are you prepared to live that level? And only you can answer that. Only you know your character and what you will do. And I think it's a good idea to sort of draw a line in the sand, because they're going to keep shifting the boundaries. They're going to keep shifting it and, coercing each and every one of us to do the things that we don't necessarily want to do. So if you don't know if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. That's the saying, right? For me, it's my faith. I don't have a line where I can specifically say, "This I won't do." I mean, a digital ID is not a mark of the beast necessarily. It's definitely of the beast system, and it's headed that way. But in reality, if you have a tax file number, you already have a digital ID. And in Australia, in the US, you'll already have that. So to say, "Well, I'm not going to take a digital ID," in essence, you already have it. So yeah, you got to be really realistic and practical and look at things through a different set of eyes. So if you don't have gold, I think one of the things that is the greatest gold is the ability to have community. And some of the folks listening to this, the reason that you're out on your own is because you're estranged from your family, and you basically don't want to swallow your pride. You know you're in the wrong, you know what you've done is wrong, and you don't want to go back and fix it, and so you're doing it tough. They're the sort of things where I think we should look at ourselves and go, "I can fix up my relationships." You know, I have people that have walked out of my life. I have some of my children estranged from me. I can't do anything to get them back. They need to make the decision themselves of, "Yes, I'll come back around." And nothing changes in the sense of, well, unconditional love, you are loved. So I think one of the first things is look at your relationships around your life and say, "Okay, I need to have those right people there." You might, how many women, great example of women, how many women are married to sugar daddies or with sugar daddies? They don't really love them. They just love what these men can do for them. They love them, but they're not in love with them because they're in love with themselves. And those sort of situations are toxic. And when this goes bad, it won't last. Those things fall apart because he won't be able to do for you. You won't get it the way you've wanted to get it, and things will fall apart. So anything you've got to be objective and look at and say, is this relationship I'm in psychopathic in its core? Of course, I'm not saying he's a psychopath or she's a psychopath, but the psychopathic nature of saying it's all about me first, then you've got trouble. So fix relationships, friends, family, people you need to have in your life. Swallow your pride, reach out. You might find those people, if they're loving, they're not going to rub your nose in it. They're just going to love you. But have the right people around your life. Order your steps now. The Bible says the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. Though he falls, he won't be cast down, for the Lord upholds him in his hand. So for me, my faith is an integral part of what I do. I follow the peace, and I say that in a lot of my videos. If you have a movement of freedom in your life, you know how to hear God, not religion. You're hearing God because God is freedom. Follow the freedom. Follow the peace. Be debt free if you can. Wind things up there, because think about it. There's another way of looking at this. You might be about to step into complete freedom, a reset in one sense. Their reset's evil. The WEF and the global, Great Reset is evil. But we can reset in ourselves and say, you know what, this is an opportunity for me to start again and to do the right thing. There will be opportunities. Live in the cracks. Look for the cracks. Start to be creative in what you do. Your provision will come from unexpected sources. But if you're turning to God and you're talking to God, he will take care of you. Read my book, Vegetable Garden, Faith and a Corvette, where a religious man became a man of freedom and faith. True faith. Don't act in fear, act in faith. Don't react, act. Fear is a reaction, faith is an action. And when I start to say, I will act the way I feel my peace is leading me in God, now people, if you don't have that, it's only because you don't know you're loved. You don't know what love is, and you've probably got yourself in relationships, or you're with a relationship that's based in doing instead of who you are, in being. And that's feeding your insecurity, because you're in somewhere that you have to do things to be able to be loved, or have people doing things for you to feel like you're loved. And that's not what it's all about. I've done some things that people have misunderstood in relationships and thought that I was being mean to them. I walked away from a lady that was not a right situation. She thought I was being mean. Well, so be it. It was actually the greatest act of love that ever happened. So sometimes you've got to act in love because you know the other person. You care about their situation and what they're doing, and they may shoot you for it, misunderstand you, trash you, talk ill of you, slander you. But ultimately, when you know you're loved by your Creator, when you know that you're loved by God himself, then you know that things will be all right. So if you are on that insecure ground, I suggest reach out to God. Take a walk with him. I like to walk in the mornings, just talk. Say, God, what's going on? I don't like the religion. I'm betrayed by religion. I find it offensive. But I know something's out there because I feel freedom, God. So help me to understand in my spirit, because the love of God is a flow of romance. It's not knowledge in your head. If you're looking for head knowledge of God, you've failed. You don't marry somebody. Love is not a head knowledge. It's not a business executive decision. It's a flow of romance, a flow of the heart that just develops. So keep going. It doesn't matter if you've got nothing. You've got something if you've got your faith. You've got something if you've got your peace. And I can tell you, when the world goes to chaos, there'll be a lot of people that will be jumping off bridges and things, unfortunately, because they have lost everything, lost their status in society, lost their prestige, lost being the one. But I tell you, where you are right now, be content in all things, be content, and walk what God has for your life. Hope some of that helps. It's not a huge thing. I'll keep it under 10 minutes, but you're welcome to send questions. And I've got other videos in my YouTube feed that you can follow on that. God bless.